Hello there. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Adam Dahl. I'm a social studies teacher, and I have to prepare a presentation here to fulfill a project for KSP 684, Gaming and Simulation. The game I've chosen is what's known as ReDistrictingGame.org. As a social studies teacher, one of our units we cover is about gerrymandering, redistricting, political boundaries and borders. And as you can see on the right, I have an outline of what I'm going to discuss today. You'll see I have about 6 or 7 learning goals that the kids have to learn. Ultimately, the students have to show some knowledge and application of how voting districts are affected by redistricting, gerrymandering, and that's exactly what this game is. So let's get into it. This is my 4th year teaching what's known as AP Human Geography, and I've been trying to find ways to always make things more interesting and connecting to kids' lives. And in the past, I've been having kids do an article about redistricting and gerrymandering, a YouTube video. They're straight out of the text and notes that we do in class. But what I found this year was a game, this game that I'm showing you, and I did it with one of my hours. So 1 hour I had them watch a YouTube video, 1 hour I had them play the game, 1 hour I had them read an article, another hour I just did my normal notes and textbook that I do with all the hours. But I added one of the 3 different media comparisons to each hour, and I found that on a delayed test, the hour I had play the game improved their testing by about 8%, 9% on those 3 particular questions that dealt with this. So I happened to come into this class, and now after reading about the methodology from chapter 2, it started to follow some theories and that were being created. And I found that this game likely has increased the cognitive theory of multimedia learning, where players use dual channels. It's improved their sensory and their growth. It also followed 3 theories known as schema, automaticity, social learning, and it showed kids how to complete real-world problems and missions, and they did that by simulating how to draw boundaries, and they followed a series of steps. So when I say a series of steps, this is what the game looks like when you start it, but this brings you to the home screen, and you'll notice there's 5 missions. 5 missions, each one has a different level. There's basic, there's advanced. Within there, it gives you more problem solving that has to get done. And I just have up here one specific mission. This one happens to be creating a political boundary for African American voters to be fairly represented. So with this game, it leads to why do kids play? Ultimately, how do we get kids to play games that are for learning and not just entertainment? And I found that this game could be referred to more as a low realism game. So there is an opportunity for it might be generative underutilized by kids because it doesn't have that 3D graphics, that first person shooter immersion. But what it does have is a definite value. The kids realize that this is important, that this happens. It's frustrating that certain people don't get represented or that politicians are corrupt. It can lead to maybe attribution theory, where they quickly realize that with a little more effort, they can have some success. And then ultimately, there's a few reasons why they would likely play. They'll find themselves engaged into it because they're either goal-oriented, they're self-determined, or they're just intrinsically motivated to continue to increase knowledge. From last week's chapters, there's also some attributes that I came across that I noticed are part of the game. So you can kind of see what I have on the right here with the different attributes you see. One neat thing with the game here is that at each pace in the game, at any point, kids can get feedback. They have to give what's known as submit for approval, and you'll notice right now it's going to the board, and it's asking Congress and the governor for approval, and it'll give me some feedback as to yes or no. So then it has me go back, and I'm reassessed onto what's going. Ultimately, with this game, the players are going to feel immersed into the fictional game. They have all control over the political environment. They're going to have to solve various real-world conflicts that change based on the problem. And you can see the game definitely fits some of the theories that we've discussed this week. It covers a ton of the attributes from last week, and it ultimately attempts to increase the knowledge that surrounds the learning outcomes that I started with at the beginning. So with that said, hopefully you enjoyed.